Used to laugh about it. I'm in good shape, don't doubt it.
You are listening to Jem and Donnie's Short, Sharp, and Fit podcast and video series, brought to you by oldbullhealth.com.
Okay, welcome back, folks, and thank you for listening. I'm Jem Bolt, and with me is Don Singe, and you're listening to the Old Bull Health Short, Sharp, and Fit podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and follow if you're enjoying it. Today, we have Heath Jones back with us. Welcome back, Heath. Heath is an exercise scientist, an army medic, and the founder of Active and Ageless, which specializes in health and fitness solutions for over 50s. And he's trying to redefine fitness for over 50s. After Heath got advice to play it safe, he chose the opposite. So went surfing, boxing, and built this business to inspire strength, resilience, and a life without limits. So welcome, Heath. And of course, welcome back, Donnie, or welcome, Donnie, you, the man, the legend, the myth, trainer, 20-year trainer, physical PT trainer now, and then now leadership coach trainer, currently with the Cowboys. So welcome back, Donnie, as well.
Thank you very much. Hey, Jim,
Yep.
Isn't it great to actually have somebody on our podcast who knows what they're talking about?
No, it does. It is quite refreshingly different. No, Donnie, you know, I what can I say? You know a lot of stuff. Not as much as Heath, but you know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I heard him talk, yeah.
All right, folks. So we talked about muscle being the new retirement plan and the impact of muscle loss and frailty and falling in the previous podcast. And I suppose it's the fact is, how long can I stay capable? I think you talk about it, Donnie, as capacity and being capable. So how long can I stay capable and able to actually do things rather than, sit and just sit quietly and do nothing and maybe dribble. And if you are on a lot of medication, or if you are not well, that where does that health span end? Is that at kind of 65, 70? Is that at 80? And then lifespan might end at 90. So there might be 10 years where you don't have that quality of health span. So how do we think about that in terms of health span, not just lifespan, which ties back to a lot of the things we talked about before and really comes back to strength, cognition, independence, and capability. So years lived well versus kind of years lived, disease prevention, dysfunctional independence, and lifestyle choices around nutrition, sleep, maybe stress, social connection we talked about in the previous podcast, and purpose as well, and mental engagement. So is exercise the most powerful longevity intervention, I guess? And then we did touch on this, but maybe why do people struggle to act? What are the triggers? And a lot of the excuses, which I certainly hear, is, oh, I'm too busy, or it's really busy at work, or I'll start next Monday because I'm on holiday, or I'm going away for the long weekend. Or confusion about what works, overcomplicated advice, and there's always a new supplement or a new thing out there, the latest new thing which they should take, which will dramatically improve something, and then they might try it, and then it doesn't work, and they lose faith, and so on. So, thoughts, gents?
You probably just described the way you described the supplement attack or the shortcut attack is probably the same for a lot of people who may go into new exercise regime, but it's not planned and it's not scheduled. And what happens is they can find themselves in the same place as the supplement. It's not organized, so they can fall out of that and actually lose faith in the exercise as something that's going to make them better, quite simply because they weren't able to stick to the program as such. So that's something jumped out to me when you spoke about the supplements and the relationship between supplements and exercise and health there.
So consistency, Donnie, and we've got that saying, routine sets you free, right?
Absolutely. And remember, routine doesn't mean it has to be at the same time every day. It doesn't have to be regimented. Routine just means that there are a few non-negotiables or something happening in your life, and you keep going back to those. And like I said to you, like, I don't go and spend time in the gym. I've got monsters all around me lifting excessively, but they play sport. However, I'm still a very simple get the push-ups in, get the chins in, get the air squats in or whatever, just get them in, and I might have a number in my head and get this amount in each week. That's me at my age now, and what Heath said it in the last episode. Where you are in your younger years can really set you up to how you get through your day. You're an example of that, Jim. Yeah, look where how you compete now. You're able to go out and compete at a good level, and you're doing triathlons and Ironman and all these things. But that base was built in you either mentally or physically over time. Heath is the same, and Heath had that block of time where he thought he was doing the right thing and then realized, oh hell, my body is not. I'm not recovering and I'm not building. I've stopped building. I think I'm just recovering, but I'm not building. I'm not adding anything to it. So, and myself came out of the military and stayed with the physicality, probably to keep myself out of prison for a start. But other than that, just to keep myself very active and going. So, yeah,
But
a
I
few
think
a few little gems there.
I think that's quite a key point, because I think a lot of men hit that space. Maybe it's mid to late 30s into their 40s, where they've got small children. They're sucked in at home in terms of looking after those kids, but also their career is taking off. So you squeeze the python, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't pop out somewhere else.
And I always go down the track now with the people that I work with in those spaces and I say don't chase time. That's the biggest thing, especially in IT. I work with a few big IT companies, and the first thing you'll always hear when you say to them, where's your barriers? What's happening? The first thing they say, time. I'm time poor. I'm getting this. I'm doing that. And I just say to them, no, you're not. You're
Mm,
energy poor, mate. You're not going to get any more change time.
mm.
1 hour, 24 hours, 1 week, a day, a week, a month, a year. You cannot change time. Everyone has the same time, but you can change your energy stores and how much you can put into your time. Don't chase time, mate. Chase energy.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a great point. But so coming back to that then, and this ties back to what you were what you do, Heath, is you're going, okay, so you got to get this consistency commitment. And I think, Donnie, in the past we've talked about, that might be committing to exercise with a friend or a class. So Heath, from your perspective, obviously you've got classes, which means there's a commitment, right, in terms of timing. So what's your view? Does that make a fundamental difference in terms of people, whether they stick to it or not?
Yeah, well, some people for sure. I think accountability is really important. It's easy to say you're accountable to yourself. You can also change your mind as to why you don't want to train for the day. But like you're saying, routine sets you free. And I know, and I've been doing the same exercise programs for years now. The exercises will change, but I know, say, every Monday morning, for example, I do a lower body strength session. Tuesday morning, I do sprints, chin-ups, and core. Wednesday, similar kind of thing. And Thursday is a slow zone 2 level cardio run where, and I do that every week. There's a few other things that I do in there, but it's easy. It's easy because I don't need to worry about what I'm doing for the day. It keeps me accountable because I know that I've pretty much ticked that box when I've done that session for the week. I do the same with my food as well. I pretty much schedule and I know what I'm eating on a weekly basis. I've done it for years. Not to the point that I can't go out and have a pizza on a Friday night, which I'm going to do tonight with some mates. But I know that 80-90% of the time I eat for nutrition. I know it serves me. It helps me train, it helps me recover, helps me, I eat a low inflammatory diet. I feel better. So I'm able to keep accountable, I suppose, to myself because of simplicity in terms of my routine, my workout scheduling, my diet scheduling. But definitely with my members, I say to them, coming back to what I was saying before, you've got to be the number one for yourself. So just say, for example, you book in your classes Monday afternoon and Thursday morning and Friday midday, whatever it may be for the week, if they are your best times, schedule them for 2 weeks in advance, schedule them for a month, make those your times that you do those for the year, or obviously there's sometimes that, circumstances, change and you need to cancel or whatever. But if your friend rings you up and says, let's go for a coffee Friday morning, yeah, cool, I'm going to cancel my exercise session. No. You do your exercise session, you then go for a coffee, because it's very easy to change your mind. And once again, come back to being the number one. You can go exercise, get your session out of the way, you're feeling better, and you can still go and do your other things afterwards. Otherwise, and I mean, it is discipline. You need to kind of have that internal strength, I suppose, to kind of say, this is, when I'm going to do what I need to do for me, and then everything else should be.
And I suppose if you haven't got that discipline, schedule it, get it, commitment.
Exactly right, and that's probably why. I mean, I am probably reasonably disciplined. Same with Donnie coming out of the military, but and the reason why discipline is easy if you do it the right way, because it's scheduled in. It's it makes it so much easier. You don't need to think.
So chaos and randomness is the enemy.
Yes,
so to speak, and that's where we put. If you think about it, like your coffee and other things, you tend to put the exercise into I'll do it when I can, as opposed to what you're talking about in the previous session was around making that a priority, right?
Yeah, exactly. And saying what you said before about I'm too busy to. If I hear that, I'm too busy to train, or I've got too much on, or work's too full on to exercise. I mean, that is no excuse. You see some of our highest performing politicians, business people, whoever they are, whatever walk of life in the world, they're usually at that level of whatever industry that they're in or profession that they're in, purely because it comes down from a basis of discipline and physical fitness. Usually, that's why we hear a lot of high level CEOs. They're all still they're up at first thing in the morning. They're training, they're exercising. I'm pretty sure they're time poor, but they manage to schedule it in. It's to say that you're too busy with work or family. Your family would want you as fit and healthy as possible. I know my mum was the same a few years ago. Now she's quite strict with her exercise because she had a job, she had kids. But we want you to be as fit and healthy as possible, and you can be a better person for us as well. So.
No, it reminds me of this saying, and I'll just put it out there, even the lumberjack has to stop and sharpen the axe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I suppose a question for you, so coming back to this health span versus lifespan, right now, and the chaos and randomness. So when people start, and a question for both of you is, do you do some work up front to sit down and go, right, what's my plan and my strategy for routine and less chaos? Or do you just tip them straight in and say, okay, eat an apple once a day and come to classes twice a week to start? Is there kind of break where you're sitting saying, spend some time, sit down, think about this, because you're going to commit to it if you've thought about it and put some effort in? Or how do you, what's the best way?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like I said, I've had people come in and want to do 5 classes a week straight away. I'm like, no, 2 is enough. We'll get you scheduled in for those 2. You can create that habit, but on those other days, I want you to go walking every day. So if you start easy, you'll stick to it. There's no point doing this, starting from a relatively low baseline, incorporating this new, extremely strict diet, a very comprehensive exercise program 5 days a week, because it's not sustainable for someone who's never done anything or done minimal exercise before. So keep it simple. Start simply, build upon it. Once you build those habits, your body's started adapting and evolving, your life has started adapting and evolving, and then you can kind of build upon that and get a little more complex with
so it's a series of steps.
Yes,
you can't plan the whole thing out, right? So do you plan the next month? What do you reckon, 30 days and then 30-day blocks? Or
case by case, but potentially. I think a new habit takes a couple of months to form if you've been sticking to it diligently. So You know, if you're doing your 2 sessions a week and you start that and you've stuck to it for 2 months, at the 2-month mark, the body's feeling good, you're feeling good, you got the capacity, let's add in an extra session. And I mean, once again, the human body is designed to move every day. So, you know, we can get up to kind of 5-6 sessions a week. And on the weekend, you can still go for a walk or still do a stretch session or a pull session.
Do you lock them in when they say they're going to do 2 sessions? Do you say you booked for these 2 sessions, or do you let them come in and book as they want?
We have an app where you schedule in, and that's another thing. We can book in 2 weeks in advance for the classes. And I always say to people, book in your 2 weeks in advance. Okay, yes, you can cancel, you can reschedule, but this is what I do here. I train at a couple of other gyms around here, and I know when I book in, I've kind of like, it's there, it's in my calendar. It's that extra, we're breaking those obstacles to exercise a little bit more just by scheduling something in, as opposed to having an open gym membership where you can go whenever you want. If you've scheduled it in, you scheduled in a class like you do with us, because they're group sessions. It's just that, you know, extra, we'll just say, incentive to get you in there to do the session.
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to ask somebody is, how do you want to feel in a month, mate? How do you want to feel? But I'll get that vision from them, what it feels like, and then I'll start navigating that path, and then over the next blocks of days and weeks, I'll start challenging them on, you know, do those behaviors, or, you know, what is that to get to that place? You know, what does that person do, or do you know someone who's like that, or is what you're doing today aligned with that goal? And it's they're more sort of gentle mental drops. So, but that's how I get people moving. Is I just get them real honest about it. How do you want to feel in the month, mate? Yeah.
Let me throw a cat amongst the pigeons then, I guess you could say, because so this is all great, but I have to commit to it. I have to do stuff. I've got to show up at the gym. I've got to eat right. And then there's GLP-1 medication. So that started off with the Ozempic, which is specifically for diabetes, but now you've got Manjaro, and you've got Wegovy, and they work slightly differently. But basically, I can sit on my bum, I can get this medication, and I'm going to lose weight. And a lot of that is through, I guess, eating less, right? Less calories or carbs in, or whatever it is. And you're going to drop some weight. Now, sure, there's some requirements, and I've got to be over a certain BMI to qualify. And if I've got chronic conditions, that can help as well. But, you know, why just playing devil's advocate, you know, why would I not just go and get this, as opposed to go through this process where I have to actually go and show up somewhere twice a week and do all these things where I can just, you know, lose weight and get back to my former glory.
You're starving yourself. You're devoid of any kind of nutritional, you know, positive nutritional biochemistry by eating not much at all and not good products. You're losing weight. You're not healthy. I think the only thing I understand with the Ozempic side of things, or any of the, you know, the weight loss drugs, is that if you are quite obese, you do not have the energy to do anything at all, any activity, any exercise, you know, every single joint in your body hurts because of that excess weight bearing down on your musculoskeletal system. If you can lose a certain amount of weight, that will enable you to actually get out there and lose the rest slower through exercise and nutrition. Yeah. Or can you use it as
that initial edge?
But as a sole a modality of weight loss and overall health, I don't think it's the option.
Yeah. What matters is, what are they learning during that process about themselves? Who's educating them, supporting them? Who is teaching them that, yes, you're using this, and while that weight's coming off, this is how we're going to develop sustainability and permanence once we get you to a healthy place. And that was pretty much what Heath was alluding to, is you get to this point and then bang. But one of the really important things that I see here is that that you have to have solid foundations and pillars. And if you only rely on a medication, that is not a solid foundation and pillar. So using it to kickstart, make change, and encourage motivation, absolutely. And if it's healthy and prescribed, absolutely. However, the pillars have to be developed. So anybody who was in that process would also be tuned into a trainer or a health professional or a lifestyle coach or somebody who's saying to them, feel these changes. Do you like these changes? Why are you making, what's different about you now? How are you going to sustain this? And what's healthy?
If you made the point around eating the bag of chips, and we've just redone the whole protein section on the oldbullhealth.com website. And one of the key things, obviously, so if you're eating 100 grams of whatever it is and 30 grams is protein, if you're suddenly eating 20 grams, you're suddenly getting 6 grams of protein. So your share of protein in drops and your share of nutrition and other things drops if you're eating less. So that's the first thing. And then, obviously, if you're not getting in protein and maybe not exercising, your muscle mass will drop. So we talked about sarcopenia. But if you're on these meds and you're not doing the right thing, as you said, Donnie, with keeping up, whether it's a protein intake, maybe it's a powder, or whether you're keeping up resistance training, you might lose 10 kilograms, but 3 kilograms of that may be muscle. So, if you're 50, that's probably not a good place to be. But as you said, Donnie, if you've got a chronic condition and you need that kickstart, fair enough. But as an ongoing thing, it's really something to think about: is how do I not lose that muscle mass, and lose fat mass if I'm going to use one of these things. Yeah.
And that's why you've got to tune into to people like, you've got to be educated.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I'm in the profession of health and fitness and wellness, but I always say to people, your best friend in this world when you want to optimize your health is your education. Learn about yourself, learn what your body, what your body needs, what your body responds to, how it adapts. Because if you can be your own source of education through what you've learned through certain experts, through certain publications, certain podcasts, it's actually pretty interesting. It's exciting. I like, I believe now I'm at a pretty good space with my diet and my exercise. I feel good. My body feels generally pretty good. But I can't encourage people enough to really become educated as best they can.
Sorry, Heath, you finish?
No, you're right. I was going to say, obviously, draw upon experts because you can't know everything about every field of health, but you can know enough to really, optimize your own body.
But I was thinking about this the other day. So is there a space for a short course for men? Because you go to your nutritionist and they'll say do this, then you go to the exercise guy and they'll say do that, then you go here, and so this lack of education in the middle means every time a new supplement pops out, it's like pick me, eat this. Here's a new app. I don't think always people know which way to turn. So is there almost like a short course for maybe men in their 50s that they go and do the basics around movement, education, training, protein, nutrition, all that stuff? It almost feels like it should be a...
Yeah, I know one that's starting soon. If I can give it a plug, it's called Younger Longer. And I'm the over 50 strength expert, but there's different people from different fields. You've got nutrition experts, sleep experts, cardiologists, mindset experts, and a few other people that are on this panel. And it is essentially, it's going to be really good when I think it's supposed to be actually launched later this month. And if you remember Guy Leach, the former Ironman, he's the founder of it. So I'm working with him. I've just done all my videos this week, my exercise videos. So we're pretty excited about it. It should be a really good platform just to go on there for, educational sources from all things healthy aging, but all different kind of different fields. Because
and Heath, what was it called? Younger Longer.
Yeah.
Anything from the Donnie to finalize? Finish.
No, all I've got is, and I'm sure that both of you agree, it's sleep, move, eat.
Mate, it's the basics. Yeah, you do the basics well, and you're going to change your life and optimize your life for sure. I agree.
I was a bit worried you're going to add something else in there, Donny, but yeah.
No, I was, but I
Sleep
thought
movie.
that's a natural.
Right. Good, Jen. So the next session we'll do, the question is, if you're 50 today, what should you start doing now? Is it too late? And when should I start? But we'll keep that for the next session. So thanks all. Thanks for listening. Thanks, chaps.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Cool.
Cheers.